tripping over propane tanks here. Howdy y'all. Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. I am a backyard gardener in zone 8A, 8B, something, in North Texas. The zone's recently changed and I can't remember which one I am, but it's one of the 8s, A or B. Anyway, today I am going to kind of give you guys a garden update. I recently went through and did the full garden tour for April, and it was quite extensive. I talked about everything that's growing, the things that are going well, the things that aren't. That was actually filmed like a week and a half prior to me posting it, so a lot has really changed in that week and a half, except for the roly-poly population. That is still here. That is still terrible. I'm doing the best that I can. They're everywhere. They are everywhere. But anyway, let's go ahead and start walking through the garden and, you know, seeing what's going on. Okay, you guys are in the green stalk that has the beans and the peas growing in it, so that you can see the tomato patch behind me. It is growing quite wild and free and unruly, and I kind of like it. I was reading a blog post from a master gardener that is located about an hour from me. She's in Dallas, and she said that, sorry, there was a really loud truck coming by. She said that she actually does not prune her tomatoes. In all the previous years that I have gardened, I have pruned those suckers, those sucker branches off of my tomatoes to try to, you know, just have one leader stem going up. She says she doesn't prune hers at all. She just lets them go crazy like this, so that she can get as many tomatoes as she possibly can. That totally makes sense, because whenever you prune them, you do end up with less fruit. The whole reason that I did prune them was to improve airflow and sort of limit the possible exposure of fungal issues to the plants. Now, because we're in North Texas and it's humid, and by the time the summer rolls around, you walk outside and you feel like you immediately need to go in and take a shower again, we're still just gonna deal with the fungal issues regardless of if I prune these tomatoes or not. So since I am really trying hard to actually be able to preserve tomatoes this year, diced tomatoes, canned tomatoes, stewed, you know, all the tomato things, including salsa, I want as many tomatoes as I can get off of these plants. So I am just letting them go crazy. I'm not going to prune them. I know if you've watched any other video from me, I talk about how you should prune them and why you should prune them. This is an experiment to see what happens. Obviously, if the plants get really sick, then I'm probably just gonna have to remove the whole plant and just call that one kaput. But this is, you know, every year that you garden, you should try something different to see what lessons you can learn, to see what methods may work better or worse for you. In all the previous years, I have pruned the tomatoes pretty extremely. So this is my tomato experiment, I guess, for this year. And I have to admit, it looks really awesome with these beds as full as they are. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you guys what is going on in there, because it's a lot. Okay, so this is the back row that has like the cherry tomato sized tomatoes. You can see these plants are already quite tall. They're setting quite a few tomatoes. It's really exciting. This is the Sakura tomatoes, if you could see in there. And there's blooms all the way up the plants. Everything is looking really healthy and really green and lush, and there's some more tomatoes there if you could see those. And so far, not pruning is going okay. Now granted, April has been an incredibly rainy month. Just over the weekend, we had 4.5 inches of rain within 12 hours or less. I mean, it was like a whole lot of water really quickly. So they're kind of loving all that rain. And I have not fertilized these since they were planted. I probably should come through with something, but I mean, they're looking really healthy and looking really great. The eggplants here are also doing really well. If you see any roly-polies, I know I flick them off constantly, but there are a couple of additions to this bed that were not in the garden tour. I forgot to point out this one tomatillo plant. This one I started from seed. It's the only one that the roly-polies did not eat through and chop down and wreck. I don't know what that is. So tomatillos, you need at least 2 in order for them to pollinate and create fruits. So I actually got 3 more from Callaway's Garden Center, but the roly-polies chewed one down. So I have 2 here, and they don't even have to be the same type in order to pollinate each other. These 2 happen to be the same type. You can see they're blooming, except it's blurry. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can fix that. There we go. You can see they're blooming. Their ants are going after, I guess, the nectar maybe in the blooms. And then there's one more addition in this bed, and that is hot and spicy oregano. So in my quest to grow a more biodiverse space, I'm really trying to incorporate more herbs within the herb garden. In previous years, I kind of kept most herbs separate. You know, I kept them in that green stock and then like containers around it, but I'm really just interplanting a lot more, trying to improve soil quality, bring in the beneficial insects, sort of repel the bad insects. So at that end, there is an Italian oregano, and I got this hot and spicy oregano because I saw on my friend's YouTube that they have had the same one for like 4 years. So I was like, well, I'm gonna try to grow that too. So I got that one, and then this bed has, let me think, it's probably covered in roly-polies. So you guys will still see that I'm battling a bad problem here. So this one, this one has lemon thyme. You can see the roly-polies there, jerks. Lemon thyme, I really like this one for like salad dressings and marinades. Tiny grasshopper. That's the only new addition in this bed, but there's a lot blooming. There's a lot of tomatoes that are growing. Like I said, I'm not pruning the tomatoes any more than I did whenever I planted them. So I'm just letting things go. This one got the roly-polies cut in half almost. This was the like original stem. This was like the top part of it, and so I just stuck it in the soil for it to root, and it worked. It's starting to grow here. So there you go. If you have a tomato that breaks, just stick the top half in the soil and hopefully it will create roots off of that stem and you can save the plant. And then that other one, that Black Beauty tomato that was looking kind of sad, let me come over here. It grew like a new stem from the bottom. That is super healthy. It has, the new leaves on it are super healthy. I'm gonna pull that off. The top leaves on it are super healthy. There's still like a few that just kind of broke off. But overall, the plant bounced back. So I'm glad I didn't pull it up and give up on it. This one that is supposed to be a Black Beauty, I don't think that it is because the tomatoes are green. And usually by this point, they would be showing some purple, at least on the shoulders. I'll give it a little bit longer to see, but I really think that this is going to be a different type. That's okay. All tomatoes are good tomatoes. This bed has, what's the new herb in it? I got a bunch of new herbs. That's what went in all these beds. Oh, this one has fennel. Now, we don't really, so fennel is used for like Italian sausage and things like that. It has that like anise flavor. The only thing that I use fennel seed for is actually different types of curry will ask for fennel seed as part of like the spice mixture. So I think that's like chicken biryani. I know it was in the chicken korma that I made over the weekend. And then there's like a few other things that require fennel. That's the only thing that I use it for is Indian food. I don't use it for like Italian sausage. I leave it out because an Italian sausage is whole and I don't like biting into it. It's a whole textural thing. And then Italian heirloom is really starting to set quite a few tomatoes. Look at this thick boy here. Thorburns terracotta. We got a lot of fruits. Down here where the Sart Roloi, however you say that, it's got several. Over here. So these branches that look like this, I will come through and prune off. I'll bring my pruning shears out. But if they're like green and healthy, like the sucker branch, normally I would have pruned that off. I'm just gonna let it do its thing, see how many tomatoes I can get. But as you can see, these beds are like super stuffed, full of stuff. Right here, the situation is cucumbers and radishes just forming a nice little chaos pile there. I'm good with it. Just full of life, full of biodiversity, full of different leaf shapes, leaf textures. Each is going to repel and lure its own type of insects. So it's kind of what the tomato patch is looking like. The sweet pepper / ochre beds are doing really well. The roly-polies are still trying to munch on a few things, namely this basil. I don't know why they like that one over some of the other ones. And then this pepper plant, I shook some roly-polies off of this morning. But these taller ones, you can see the roly-polies don't really care too much about. Yeah. Don't really care. This nasturtium is going off of the back of the bed, so that's really cool. That's kind of what I wanted. I kind of wanted it to cascade over the side and, you know, create some visual appeal. The okra is starting to grow. As the temperatures heat up, it'll grow faster. The new herb addition in this bed, there's actually two. So we have stevia here because I'm trying to reduce the amount of processed sugar that I eat. So I have stevia here, and then I have marjoram here. And then that's the only new stuff I have in this bed. Yeah, the cucumber starting to take off here, so that's cool. Then I got a rain gauge because it's been raining so much. I have no idea how much it's rained other than a lot. You can kind of see the grass close to the bottom of the fence. That's how high the water was standing down here. It doesn't drain very well because it's clay soil. So I got a rain gauge so I could see exactly how much rain we get. And then this bed has tarragon. That's new. And then at the other end, it has Spanish lavender. Let me show you guys why I love Spanish lavender. So look at the flower heads on this compared to regular lavender. I don't know if I'll be able to perennialize this. I hope so. I've killed all the other lavenders that I've had, but this one, they say, is pretty heat tolerant, so I'm hoping that it'll be, I'm hoping that it'll last through the heat of the summer. I mean, as the okra gets tall and creates like a shade structure, I think that that will help, but yeah. These peppers are looking really good too. So they're starting to get taller, starting to get blooms on them. We still have this one pepper just growing away here. I don't know how big it's gonna get, but pretty cool. Show you guys the bells of Ireland because it's starting to branch out and get more on the plants, and I love these so much. The sunflowers, the roly-polies, have kind of done some damage too. There was also a caterpillar in there, but it was a fuzzy one, so I didn't want to touch it because I don't know which fuzzy ones hurt you and which ones don't. So I probably need to replant some sunflower seeds in a couple of these. Down there, those are doing much better. I don't know why. Over here in the flower bed, things are really starting to fill out. And look how much shade these trees are giving off. Let me back up so you can get the full. Okay. So like when I filmed this, these trees were not this leafy. I mean, when I filmed the tour like 2 weeks ago, these trees were not this leafy. So they create quite a bit of shade, and it's really nice. So the flowers are really starting to fill in. More of the flowers are starting to bloom. I did add in these orangish, golden orange marigolds all the way down the front, because the ones that I planted, the roly-polies, yeah, they did what they did to all of my seedlings. And then I also, whenever I went and got the last bag of mulch and then the other plants, I got pink geranium, which is not blooming right now, but you can see where it was. Pink geranium right there, and then this really cool pink leafy thing. I can't remember what it's called. I just thought it looked cool. I was just trying to get some more color going in here because right now it's mostly green, but it'll get better. A lot of the stuff is starting to come into bloom, so it's just kind of a wait and see. Wait for the things to bloom, and then, you know, it'll be more colorful. Caterpillar did caterpillar things there. You can see. Let's see where they did caterpillar things. Gross. So yeah, I got 3 of the pink geraniums and then 3 of the pink leafy things. I don't know what they're called, but everything is really starting to grow and bush out, and some things are blooming. These I actually transplanted from the front. These are Henry Dulberg salvia, also known as mealy sage. They are a perennial, and we get butterflies on them, and they just like grow and spread and grow and spread. So I had to thin them out of the front because the front flower bed was being taken over by them, and you couldn't really see the shorter flowers. So I moved them back here, and I have them in a few places. So right there, and then right here. But yeah, I mean, the flower bed is starting to fill in and look pretty good. And if you watched my last video, then you know I have some plans to incorporate some more bulbing flowers and other flower types, so we get more color year round instead of waiting on things to come into bloom. But y'all, look at this pepper green stalk. I mean, it's just like fluffy. It is lush and fluffy, and the trip over a dog toy, and that's really exciting. But even more exciting is the fact the peppers are starting to set right there. These are Buena Mulata. They'll turn purple. Let me see if I can show you the one. Here we go. Right here. As it will ripen to red. As it ripens, it goes through like this whole sunset color scheme. That's really awesome. We have several jalapenos that are setting on several plants. So looks like the pepper season is going to be all right, at least for a little while. And then I'm just going to stand here and admire this for just another second, because Right now it just looks so lush and healthy, so I'm just okay. Last green stalk, well, second to last green stalk. This is the one that has those dwarf okras and then 2 types of cucumbers in it, and then kind of the hodgepodge of everything else. It's doing really well too. We can stand back and admire it a little bit. The dwarf okra is starting to grow. See here. And then the cucumber varieties are starting to grow. And then the peppers that are on the front. Here. I did add a Carolina Reaper for my husband. Definitely not for me. In fact, most of the ones that are in this are for him and not for me. But I didn't start any from seeds. I bought him a plant whenever I got the other herbs and stuff. So he's happy. I need to figure out how to preserve them where I won't die. Because if I dehydrate them, then the whole house fills with like the particles from them and we'll be coughing for hours on end. And if I like cut them up and blend them, same thing. So that was why I didn't start it from seed, because I don't know how to preserve it. The cilantro here, you can see that all those flowers are turning into seeds here. So see there. So my plan, I actually probably need to save a lot of this. One, I can use it for Indian food. 2, I will have it to plant, and then the rest of it I'll just let fall and create a giant cilantro patch over here. So it's cool to see that this was a plant that I didn't plant intentionally, and now I will have cilantro forever because of it. So that's cool. And then the last green stalk. I don't know why everything is so blurry today, I'm sorry. The last green stalk, most of the beans and peas have germinated. There's a few pockets that did not germinate, or roly-polies ate them, I don't know which. So, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. This is wild bergamot, and it's kind of going wild and growing everywhere, and that's okay. I think it's part of the mint family, so that's probably why. But, I mean, that's kind of the whole garden update right now. There's not a whole lot of food coming out at this point, other than us coming out to harvest fresh herbs for whatever use we need them for. But as you can see, there's a lot of things that are starting to set fruit. The tomatoes and the peppers, the okra will be a couple more months, and then, you know, we'll be eating okra until the first frost, which is awesome. So at this point, it's kind of like the garden maintenance time, where if your plants are looking like maybe they're nutrient deficient, you consider fertilizer for them. If you have some branches that are damaged, or you saw some of the yellow ones on the tomatoes, you want to prune those off. It's also kind of the pest management time while you don't have a huge harvest coming in and you have the time to kind of get on top of it. For the roly-polies, I have been doing a combination of beer traps and cut up potatoes, and I have lessened the population, but not enough to do any real good. I have so many plants that at this point it's going to be really difficult to try to protect the stems of them. One, I can't really get in there to do that because there's so many plants planted so densely, which is what I wanted, right? So I did get Sluggo. It is OMRI certified. It is an it is an organic pest control solution. I don't typically like to use any sort of pesticides at all. I don't use neem oil. I don't even use BT for caterpillars. I just pick them off if they're, you know, causing too much of a problem. But because the roly-polies are doing so much damage throughout my entire garden, it's not just in one specific space, it's the whole garden space, everywhere where I'm trying to grow food, everywhere where I have flowers growing, everywhere where I have herbs growing, they are doing a ton of damage. They have killed several plants, they have killed several seedlings. So at this point, it is a choice of my plants or the roly-polies, and I'm going to choose my plants. So I ordered Sluggo Plus, and I'm going to be administering that following the recommendations that they list out in their instructions. I want to make sure that I'm not like overusing the product. It is supposed to be good for slugs, which I have seen a few, roly-polies, and then someone else said that it works with ants as well. If it does not work on the ants, I have orange oil that I will dilute in my watering can and then just soak my raised bed wherever I see the ants, and that repels them. They don't like the orange. So that's really the only two things that I do in terms of pest control. Everything else I try to bring in the beneficial stuff. Like I try to make a friendly space for birds. I do need to get a water source for them so that they'll have water to drink, but I have trees for them. You know, I don't like shoo them off. They're welcome here as long as they stay away from my tomatoes. So I try to make a welcome space for birds because they'll handle caterpillars and grasshoppers and other ickies. And then I try to make a welcome space for like the predator wasps who lay their eggs within like hornworms and stuff. Bring those guys in. I'm good with that as long as they don't sting me. I don't even know if they do sting. I haven't been stung by any wasps here, so I don't know 100% for sure. But that is kind of the point of planting a biodiverse space that is like super full and super lush, is to kind of repel bad bugs and bring in good bugs to wipe out any bad bugs that still might want to make a home within your garden space. I do have some caterpillars out there that are munching on nasturtiums. Nasturtiums typically are a trap crop for that reason, because they will draw in caterpillars, they will draw in aphids, they will draw in squash bugs, but they will all like congregate within that one plant. So then you just yank the plant out and plant something new in that space, and you don't have to worry about, you know, you're just like throwing away those insects. So that's why the spaces are planted so densely like they are, for like pest control reasons and also the soil health reasons, because each thing takes away and contributes to the soil in its own way. So yeah, it's really wild right now, and it's really lush, and it's really green, and everything's really healthy. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm saying really a lot because I really mean it. So that's kind of the update for now. At this point, I'm probably just gonna stick to weekly garden updates and kind of walk through and point out the cool stuff that's happening, and then still try to do one full monthly garden tour. And then as harvests start rolling in, I will show you guys that too, because I'm hoping that this garden season will be better, the best one yet. And I want to share that with you guys, and I want you to share your garden harvest with me too. I want to see what you guys are growing. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked this video, please feel free to like and subscribe and do the YouTubey things. Inching my way to 1,000. As you guys that have watched my videos hear me say every video, I'm inching my way to 1,000. So thank you guys so much for your support thus far. But until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye.